We've resumed to continue from where we stopped. And we are committed to ensuring that all that we have studied in the legislative agenda will be pursued. However, there are few of them that we have prioritized. These have been mentioned or re-emphasized by the Speaker in his speech today. He mentioned the commitment of the House to ensuring that the PIB, which is over 20 years, is finally sorted. This commitment is also shared by the Senate. And we are sure that we're going to get it out of the way to face other things. In his speech as well, he has mentioned how we have used legislative intervention at various levels to bridge the gap in our society, both locally and globally. I'm sure you have followed the news all this while. He has also said that the legislative intervention is not just going to exist as a document, legislative digest. It's not going to exist as just a document. It's going to have an ad hoc committee that will ensure its implementation. And Honorable Nwawoba has been choosing to lead that because he has been part of those who prepared this document. Other members will be added with time. Formally, we use our electronic systems today. Though he also agreed, in line with what I suggested here, or I mentioned here during our last interaction, that 1 hour, 2 hours will be allowed for us to teach members on how best to use that particular facility. But as you know, today was a half sitting because of the member of the senator that we lost, Senator Rose. Normally we're supposed to dedicate one full day where we will not sit, but we didn't want to do that today. We did a half sitting today, so there was no time to do that training. I'm sure maybe from tomorrow we'll remind him for an executive section where this training will take place. There are other issues like the Electoral Act, like I mentioned before, that is going to be on the front burner as well. And the Constitution review also has been re-emphasized as going to be on the front burner. Like I promised, that one of the things that will be looked into upon resumption will be the Water Resource Bill. You are aware that the whole country has been very conscious and has been following this particular bill. Today, a member came by way of privilege and stated that opportunity was not given to him to participate in the process of this bill up to the stage where it is at the moment. A sentiment that was shared by majority of the members of the House. And in the wisdom of the leadership of the House, especially the presiding officer today, the Speaker, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, who referred the House to a recent incident about his bill, which he sponsored, the infectious disease bill. He reminded the House that as the People's Parliament, that it is good for us to always listen to what the people are saying. And if they consider us being too fast in the consideration of a particular bill. If it's mentioned that certain things have not been done well, it is good for us to listen. Just like he was also asked to step down the process, the speed, to enable public hearing and all the rest of them to be captured. Today, he went boldly, courageously to say the will of the people should take the day at any time. Not his will, but let the will of the people be done. Left for him because he spoke in favor of that bill, I think in the 7th Assembly or the 8th Assembly. He spoke when he was, I think, the minority leader or thereabout, or the majority leader? Majority leader, yeah. He spoke for that bill. But it's not about him. It's about what Nigerians want. Nigerians are saying the process has not been followed because among Nigerians are people who are experts in legislative proceeding. Among Nigerians, you have people who have been in the House before. You have former speakers and all the rest of them, and they are watching. And they notice that the process was not followed. And that's why they are saying, can you just follow the process? So the content of the bill was not discussed in a comprehensive manner today because today was not a day for that. But the structure of the process was what was debated. Ordinarily, when an issue of privilege is raised, it's not supposed to be debated. But because of how sensitive this particular issue is, the Speaker in his wisdom allowed the House to discuss it further for him to feel the pulse of the House, which provided guidance to him in making the ruling that this should be stepped down and re-gazetted, because it is the provision of our House rule that if you are committing a particular bill that is coming from assembly to assembly, one of the process is that it should be re-gazetted, or alternatively, based on Order 16, that it be circulated among members. Neither of the two was, done to the satisfactory of members. There was no solid evidence to support that particular provisions of the law guiding the House as a House rule was complied with. And it was on the basis of that procedure, not the content. It is important that the press, you get this clearly. It wasn't the content of the bill that was discussed today. It was the procedure, the process of bringing the bill into being that was discussed. And we found out there were gaps in the way it came on board. And the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business have been asked to re-gazette and bring the bill back. We are waiting for that particular process to be complied with, and we will take it up from there.
Questions? Good afternoon, sir. My name is Legislature. I write for the paper. Based on what the speech
Does not in any way mean compromising on the mandate of this particular constitutional provision. I can assure you that this House is very attentive to the gaps created by the executive in the course of carrying out their functions. And whenever we see that, we have never kept quiet. Many have described the House as rubber stamp, but I think even before we went on recess, you will agree with me that we battled the executive seriously on issues that we believe Nigerians were concerned about. On the issue of electricity, we did a legislative intervention when we had our sister Ada raise the issue of being at home, paying bills, and not getting the electricity. We invited the stakeholders. It's on record that we made our position known. It's also on record that the Minister of Power also had their own argument, reasons to support why the tariff should be there. But because we are on the side of the people, and I like describing this parliament as the people's parliament, what we were afraid of, that the people were going to reject it, and we wanted to avoid by that legislative intervention, has resulted to what we were afraid of, where they wanted to go on strike because of this hike. Do we sit back and say, okay, we advise the executive to change their policy with regards to that and allow the nation go into chaos, which will affect you and I? The answer is no. In the wisdom of the speaker, he stood up again and went, I think it was on Sunday, he went to meet with Labour. While people were in their places of worship, he was here in the office, meeting with all the stakeholders in Labour. And from there, he went to meet the SGF. From there, he went to meet the Vice President. These are the ones who are in charge of the executives, to begin to find a way to bring this particular issue that was about putting the country in a very dangerous situation to a standstill. And today, through that legislative intervention, that issue has been dropped. People are not going on strike. I think the House should be commended. I think the legislative arm should be commended for being this proactive, for being on the side of Nigerians. There was another issue you mentioned. You mentioned electricity, you mentioned agreement. I've told you that yes, we are not agreement. When you say we are in agreement with the executive, no. We cannot be in agreement with the executive at all times. If we do that, then we have compromised our position. It is not everything the executive introduces to the House that will pass through. Just like this water bill that just came. It has not gone through the process. We said no to it today. It was an executive bill. We said no to it. If we are just in agreement, we would have found a way to just push it. But there was no way we will go against the House rule. That would be reducing the dignity of the institution to go against our own House rules. So we will be in collaboration, towards achieving good governance for the country. But to say that we'll be in agreement on all the issues raised by the executive, it will be to ridicule the institution of the legislature. We will not do that. But where it is necessary, we will collaborate for good governance, for the interests of Nigerians.